Hello.
We're so excited here to talk about holistic leadership in the Mind Body Reset group on not day one, but day 2 of the Mind Body 4-day reset, where we're doing all good things for the body and the mind and the soul. And tonight, depending where you are in the world, I have an amazing, incredible, energetic, bubbly, a woman full of wisdom here to speak about holistic leadership and here to kind of change, alter the way maybe we think of what real leadership is and to rock the boat a bit. I love the sound of that, right? This is Ali Phillips. And Ali, I'm going to let you dive in a little bit more on you.
Amazing.
And tell us what you do and what we're going to talk about. And then the floor is yours, girl.
Beautiful. Okay, well, hello, everybody. I'm Ali. I am an embodied leadership coach, and I'm super excited to share stuff that makes me feel really good, to be honest. Let me just confirm logistic-wise. So people can use the chat, correct?
Yeah.
Yep, great. And then you might filter in questions.
Yeah, when there's questions, I'll tell you.
Perfect. Okay, so in that case, I will share my screen just so that we can do this all together. So can everybody see this clearly? Fabulous. Okay, so like I said, my name is Ali. I'm an embodied leadership coach. And a little bit about me. As you can probably hear, I am Australian, but currently I live in Toronto, Canada. The biggest piece that I think really connects who I am with my leadership journey is at the age of 17, I actually started a dance company for people with disabilities. And that really started my dance career. It started my leadership career. I didn't even realize it at the time. Being 17, I had just finished high school and was going into university doing a dance and education degree. And my sister had started a community center that had an interest in special needs. Growing up, I had no experience with disability, with inclusion, with business, anything. I just wanted to dance. But she asked me if I wanted to start a structured dance class for some of the guys that came to the community center. And so I was like, whatever, I'll give it a go. And I really loved it. And I was really good at it. And they really loved it. And there was a community. And so that's kind of just how my journey with leadership really began. And I do definitely say that I grew up through being a leader. I learned the hard way that people are not going to do shit for you if you're not nice to them. First of all, you need to be an incredibly effective communicator. You need to listen. But the biggest piece that I have always embodied is this ability to trust. Because at 17, you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, especially as someone that was in this world that still is pretty niche. You have people left, right, and center wanting to give you advice and tell you what to do. And so I had to really develop a really, really strong ability to trust myself. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And as the name suggests, this idea of holistic leadership, looking at the sum total of who we are, approaching leadership from a really holistic place, which I think is really in alignment with this community. We don't just do one thing, it's a combination of all the things. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So a couple of other little things. Like I said, I'm an Aussie living in Toronto. You can see this here. I am a dancer, a teacher, a coach. I really subscribe to human design as a spiritual philosophy, a way of trusting myself, making decisions. If anybody doesn't know about human design and wants to know a little bit more, please get in touch with me after today because I'd love to chat to you about it. My love language is acts of service. I think that's really important. This is part of being holistic, is understanding how we love to be loved, apologize to, receive and give feedback, how we feel attached, how we get turned on. All of these things contribute to our ability to lead. And so I just wanted to add that in there to start this conversation of how you love to be loved, because love is not contextual. We feel loved in multiple areas of our life. And I think leadership and love isn't something something that we typically talk about, but something that I think is really powerful. It says here, I'm an advocate for inclusion, I'm faith-based, and I'm a dog and plant mom. So I just thought I would add those things in. So let's do a check-in. In the chat, I would love to know everybody's names. How do you feel? But as my students know, and as anyone that works with me knows, you're not allowed to say good, great, or tired, because that's a cop-out, or okay, or fine, or nice. Don't want any of those words. So really check in with yourself and see how you feel. And then what's one win from this week? I'm just going to stop sharing just for a sec so I can see. Or if anyone would like to just unmute and tell me how you're feeling. As I always say, leaders go first. So like I said, my name is Ali. I'm feeling really grateful and a little bit sore today. My back is like kind of sore. I did a workout yesterday, so I'm kind of a little bit sore. And a win from this week is I had a really amazing partnerships meeting with an organization in Australia to work with my organization. So feel free to pop it into the chat. Feel free to just kind of start the comments going. And yeah, Teresa, go for it. Yes, I love when people just unmute.
Speak up, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm feeling frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
There are things in my life that are not progressing at the pace I would like them to be. And there's things from the past that I'm having to deal with at the moment, which are very frustrating. And yet I feel rather settled and calm about the whole thing. You know, it's just, it's stuff. It's not me.
Thank you. I really appreciate the honesty. What's one thing that you are celebrating? What's a win?
Oh my goodness, that we're going to go out of town for the weekend and see my partner's family and to just suck up all this baby energy. They have 2 young boys and an 11-month-old baby, and I really don't have a lot of access to children. So it's just, it's a really, I'm excited about that. I'm celebrating having that kind of connection time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm baking for it too. I've made fudge, and I know that's like not holistic, and date squares, and you know, hey, they're kids.
I mean, it's how you define holistic. It sounds very holistic to me. It sounds incredibly.
My love language is also acts of service, so I tend to do that kind of a thing. Yeah.
Would anyone else like to share? I don't want to pressure anyone. No one else needs to, unless you feel called to share.
I would love to share. I would say I'm feeling pretty grounded, but a mixture of feelings. Like, yeah, not completely grounded, but just chilled, excited about thinking about, we have a cleansing day tomorrow. Excited to do that. Yeah, so I'd say pretty neutral at the moment, but pretty satisfied. That's the word. Yeah. Yeah, and feeling pretty good in my body. I am grateful for that. Yeah, my body, and that's a big step. I haven't always been grateful there. And for taking me up the mountain today at a good pace, and missing the storm that came. Yeah. And grateful that I get to do a cleansing day tomorrow. Grateful for this community. Grateful for you and all you power women on this call. Everybody in the community. So there, that's good.
Thank you. Beautiful. Okay. Would anyone else like to share before I continue? All right, let's continue. I think it's important to check in. I love just gauging everybody's energy. So I want to move on to this quote that I probably I overuse, but I think it is so important, which is, who we are is how we lead. And I'm a massive fangirl of Brene Brown. For anyone else that knows her, she just has probably fangirls like me all over the world. But there's just something really authentic and honest about her. And this quote really supports my ability to lead, because I think we have this idea, and growing up, I definitely had this idea of what a leader looked like, spoke like, should be like. And she really supported my ability to just trust myself and to be really embodied in my ability to lead. It doesn't matter what I look like, what I sound like, the things that I say. It's more about the intention behind my actions. So feel free to just have a bit of a reflection on what that means for you. Who we are is how we lead. It can be pretty, it sounds really self-explanatory, but then when you kind of go a little bit deeper, it's not just your ability to communicate really effectively, but potentially it's the shadow sides of us as well, the things that we don't necessarily love to put out there, our subconscious beliefs, our limiting beliefs. It's the totality. And that's why I love this idea of holistic leadership, because this encompasses who we are. And if we are not aware of our limiting beliefs, our shadow sides, what the challenging sides of our personality are, then that's also going to come out into our leadership. So I kind of always like to ask, like, how do we nurture who we are? For those of you who need a little bit more of a cue about that nurturing, because I'll make sure that I want to have accessible language. It's just that idea of caring and encouraging the growth of development of something. Like, how do we do that? You know, I think we sometimes have practices, sometimes we, jump on bandwagons. But for me, it looks like cultivating a holistic culture. So I would love to know, when you hear the word culture, what comes up? Anyone can just unmute and tell me what you think, or, share in the chat. When you think of the word culture, what comes up?
I think of a societal way of being that everyone agrees to.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Yogurt.
Yeah, I feel like this idea of culture could look into kind of what you were also saying, Teresa, this idea of values, shared beliefs. It could even incorporate on more of a grassroots level, food, music, traditions. But the way that I see it, because I do a lot of work with organizations on developing and cultivating their holistic culture. And so when I was developing this idea of cultivating holistic culture, I was like, why can't we just apply those same principles or ideas around culture to ourselves? Aren't we just another system? Isn't our life and our body and our beliefs, our traditions, our values, what we like, what we don't like, isn't that cultivating our own internal culture? It's kind of how I see it. So what I did was I created an acronym as a self-reflection tool. And I would definitely encourage anyone to write these down, because this can be tools for reflection, for journaling, for questioning, for curiosity. And this is something that I do. The only way that I know how to lead and how to cultivate my own holistic culture is by doing these things. And this is the thing, I'm not some expert. I just have a lot of experience. And like I said, when you're 17 years old and you're trying to just figure out how to run a business, you have to learn to trust yourself. You really do. And these are the ways in which I did that. So this idea of cultivating connection is the goal, I believe, of cultivating a holistic connection within myself. We are hardwired for connection. That's all we are craving, this idea of connection and belonging. And so this is number one. This is at the top of the list. And this is not just connection with others. Obviously, I'm speaking to everyone on here, and I feel like I can be probably preaching to the choir, but it's connection to self, but it's also connection to space. It's connection to spirit. It's connection to food. It's connection to body. It's connection to, energy, whatever it is. But I feel like that's number one. And part of that looks like understanding ourselves. And I think as leaders, we do a lot of delegating, and we do a lot of team building, and we do a lot of externalizing. But I think leadership is all about understanding ourselves. This is very high level. I have 35 minutes today. This is just, I'm giving it to you, and you get to take or leave it and do your own work and do your own reflection. And I have some journaling questions that I can give you. So then we kind of go into listening to others. This is where the idea of empathy for me comes in. Empathy is a really interesting skill, and I don't think we're taught necessarily how to be empathetic. One of the most important aspects of empathy, in my opinion, is this idea of perspective taking. This idea that we are able to take someone else's lens, that as in this ability, there's a misconception that we can take off the lens that we see the world through and put on somebody else's lens and see the world through their eyes. It's a misconception. It is impossible to do that. And therefore, when we, and I'm going to speak on behalf of myself, when I, as someone in the majority culture, someone who is able-bodied, someone who is highly educated, someone that comes from an affluent family, someone who is white, someone who is educated, comes, and I'm at the pretty much the top of the food chain, what can tend to happen is my empathy can be blocked because I tend to take people's version of the truth as an off version of mine. And so when we listen to others, and as leaders, when we listen to others, it's important that we accept everybody's truth as their own. I think Rumi had a poem and it said, truth was a mirror that fell from the sky and shattered into a million pieces. And everyone picked up a piece of the mirror and had a piece of, and they called it truth. And so everybody has their own version of the truth, and listening to others is the ability to really respect someone else's truth as their own. And in leadership, no one's truth is more valid than anybody else's. We go into building trust. For me, our ability to trust ourselves is directly related to our ability to trust ourselves. Did I say that? Wait, ability to trust others. I think I said selves twice. So our ability to trust others is directly related to our ability to trust ourselves. So when do we trust ourselves? How do we know? Like, this is a question. How do you know that you trust yourself? Like, I don't think we stop to have these kind of conversations. We say things like, I think there's a quote somewhere. It's like, you only know how much you know by when you teach others, that kind of concept that yeah. And so how would you teach someone to trust themselves? And if you don't know right now in this moment how you would teach someone else to trust themselves, then maybe there's a question of, are you able to trust yourself? Like, it's just this idea of how do you know? Moving on to unplugging from distraction. Now, when we think of distraction, we can think of, obviously, I think our minds go straight to social media as a huge distraction. I think that's a secondary, and I think it's a cop-out. I think comparison is probably the greatest distraction. Comparing ourselves to other people. Are we distracting ourselves by being around people that aren't bringing us up and aren't uplifting us? Are we distracting ourselves and numbing from the pain of childhood trauma or from family wounds? So let's dive deeper into what distractions are. It's not just, I'm, sleeping in, or I'm scrolling on my phone. It's who are we having conversations with? Reigniting our why. This is like, why do we get up in the morning? Like, why do we even wake up? Why do we do what we do? We talk so much about what we do, but we never talk about why we do it. The what's that we do is going to change. I teach dance, I coach people, I make videos, I run online dance classes. Like, I do so many things. My what is a million different things. I might start to write a book. I might start a YouTube page. I might start a podcast. I might go and run programs in schools. My what is going to change all the time, but the why is the golden thread that runs all the way through it. So my why is that I recognize the potential of myself and others so that we get to live the life that we choose to live. And I'm very clear about my why. So anytime I do anything, it's like, wait a second, am I recognizing my potential? And am I recognizing someone else's potential so I can empower them to choose the life that they want? And then embodying our values. I believe our values are a physical expression of our ability to trust ourselves. My 3 values are curiosity, intuition, and connection. I know how I define all 3 of them. I know what they look like and what they don't look like. It is my responsibility to know all of this. It is my responsibility as a leader, but as a human being, because the way we do one thing is the way we do all things, and who we are is how we lead. So if I don't know all of these things on this list, then there's gaps in my awareness. And how on earth am I going to hold space for others to step into their leadership if me as the leader is not completely clear and aware of myself? So underneath there are 5 skills that I believe I get to tap into to really cultivate my connection and my understanding of myself. And those are vulnerability, faith, empathy, accountability, and mindset. And we're going to have a bit of a chat about that. But how? So we keep coming back to like, how do we do this? Like, how do we even learn to cultivate connection? How do we understand ourselves? How do we build trust, ignite our why? How? And for me, this looks like, one of the greatest tools is meditation and embodied meditation. So I'm going to invite everybody to participate in a body meditation with me, because I think this is a really beautiful way of entering the body, especially after I probably just word vomited over everybody. And everyone's like, oh my God, I don't know what my distractions are. And oh my God, I don't know my why. And oh my God, I don't know how to define my values, blah, 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 blah. Let's get out of the mind and into the body. So I'm going to guide everybody through an actual physical body scan. This is what I do with my clients. This is what I do with my students. This is what I do by myself. You are more than welcome to join me. If you would like to do it standing, you absolutely can. If you would like to do it sitting, you absolutely can. If you would like to do it lying down, you absolutely can. I'm going to do it standing because it feels really freaking good for me. Okay. So if you are watching afterwards, live your life and follow me. I'm going to stand up. You can absolutely join me. It's only going to go for a couple of minutes. That's all. And I believe everyone can afford to kind of get out of the mind and into the body. So I want to ask everyone to find just a comfortable position, feet not too wide apart and feet not too close together. You kind of want to have hip width apart and have a soft bend in your leg. And I'm just going to play a little bit of music for those of us who respond really beautifully to music. And I just want you to just shake out your arms, shake out your shoulders. Feel free to take a soft gaze at the floor or close your eyes, whatever feels more safe for you. And just bring your hands onto your belly, drop the shoulders down, and take a deep breath in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. And I want you to start to move your head. My eyes are closed, so I am not looking at anybody else. No one cares what you look like. No one is watching you. You can remove your hands from your belly, just allow them to hang softly and just move your head and your neck as gently as you can, continuing to focus on your breath. Maybe you move the face to warm up the eye sockets, the mouth, the nose, the jaw. Start to move the shoulders, noticing if there's any tension, any stiffness, any soreness, and stopping to stretch. If you need to hold what happens in your mind when you start to do something a bit strange. What's the self-talk that's happening? Moving into the forearms, the wrists, the fingers, and the hands. Just move. Breathe. We're getting out of the mind into the body. Let any thoughts go gently without any judgment. You can start to move the chest and the back. And you are more than welcome to watch me if you need guidance. But pretty much just follow what I'm asking you to do. There's no right or wrong. Allow your head to keep moving. Allow the movement to come into your ribs, into your lower back, into your belly. Don't forget to take the head with you. Breathe, connecting your breath to your body. Starting to bend the knees, moving into the pelvis. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Keep the head moving. Breathe. Beautiful. Start to move the ankles and the feet and the toes. Remember, you are more than welcome to watch me as a reference. But I'm not doing anything special. I'm just moving my body. That's all. Breathe. Continuously come back to what's happening in your mind. I'm going to count down from 10. And when I get to 1, I'd love for you to be standing in a still, neutral position. Moving your body. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Standing still, nice and neutral. You can bring your hands back onto your belly and just feel the breath. Notice how your body feels. Notice what's happening in your mind. Breathe. And as you are standing there, I want you to just reflect on the holistic culture that you have created for yourself. Bringing to mind the points that I was guiding you through before this meditation. What are the areas that you feel like are really strong within your culture? Whether you're really good at listening to others, whether you know your why in and out. And what are the areas that you need to focus a little bit deeper on? Maybe you succumb to distraction. Maybe you're not embodied in your values. Maybe you don't feel connected to yourself. Just start to reflect for a moment. Because I'm going to ask everyone to, in a few moments, start to come back into the physical space and just journal anything that's on your mind as a result of these questions. So everyone take a final deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can slowly start to wiggle the fingers, slowly start to wiggle the toes, and slowly flutter the eyes and open them. You can come and grab your notepad and pen and just journal anything that's on your mind. Now that we are embodied and now that we are connected to our physical body, we're an open channel. We can really just download anything that our body's reminding us of. So feel free to just spend the next just minute and a half reflecting. Beautiful. One more minute. Thirty seconds. And you can continue on this journaling journey whenever feels good for you. I want to keep to time. So I guess I would love to just open up the discussion on maybe what sparked any intrigue or curiosity from what I've shared. I want to make it clear that I'm not here to invent anything new. I'm here to bring new perspectives, to remind you of things that you obviously already know, but maybe haven't given time to think about it. I'm here to connect concepts, whether that is, leadership and embodiment, or, the ability to lead, but also to tap into, this idea of how we feel loved. Like, I'm not introducing anything that's new. I'm just giving a different spin on it. So I would love to know how are we feeling? What's coming up? What are we wanting to explore more of? Anybody, feel free.
I loved the T part on building trust, because I trust myself. But you said, how would you teach someone else to trust themselves? And that I drew a blank on that. Mm-hmm. So that in my life experience, we all have our little GPS that tells us yes or no. That's pretty clear. And every time I've gone against the advice of this, I've regretted it. So it's probably just, getting knocked down several times, going against my higher self, where I just finally go, okay, I don't test those waters anymore. This is it. So for me, trial and error, but I don't know how to teach someone else how to do that.
So let me ask you, how do you know that you trust yourself?
I just do. I know that. I know the choices I make are for me. I mean, they're not for anyone else. They're for me.
Yeah. And do you connect with something when you tap into trust?
God.
And how do you connect to God?
I just talk to him.
And do you talk to him once a year or every day?
All the time.
All day, every day. All day, every day. So
I don't formally pray on my knees. I talk to him like he's my mentor, friend.
Yeah.
Father.
And so this is where this idea of faith as a skill, I believe, and as a practice it contributes to our ability to create and cultivate holistic culture, because you do know how you trust yourself. You talk to God every day, and whether that looks like God or whether it's something else for someone else, It's having the ability to communicate. Words are power. And as leaders, we want to be able to communicate what works for us so that we can hold space for others to also develop what works for them, right? Because leadership is just recognizing the potential in somebody else. Yeah, that's all it is recognizing that someone else has something that they should pursue. Like, it's the belief that we are all worthy and we are all here for a reason. And so by understanding and physically being able to communicate how we trust ourselves, we give space for others to also develop that understanding, that vocabulary, and that leads to more effective communication. So you do know, I think words bring power.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. And so you also know that when your trust is maybe fluctuating, what's that an indication of?
Losing faith, really. And you know, I don't know about anyone else, but often when I have something important, as I do coming up, you know, I rehearse it over and over and over in my head, what I'm going to say, how I'm going to, you know, every detail. And then I remember my mother used to say, let go and let God. And it's real hard to let go, especially when my ego says there's much at stake, or my bank account says there's much at stake, and all these things that seem like threatening, you know, things. At the end of the day, it's just do the right thing.
I love that. And it brings up a great point as well, that being able to trust yourself is a superpower. Like a superpower. And knowing the return on an investment is huge. To be able to never have to overanalyze another decision, and being able to trust yourself is such an incredible experience, that if the way in which you develop that trust is through praying to God, or is through meditating, or is through journaling, or is through connecting with nature, or is through connecting through movement, knowing that the return is so huge, it needs to be consistent. It needs to be a daily practice, because anything that's worth the amount of benefit is not going to just happen overnight. The universe isn't just going to give it to us because we do it once. So I think it's that practice of really believing, like, gosh, like, my ability to trust myself is worth everything that I have. So I need to work at this every single day. And that's just one point in this culture acronym. So I love that that's what came up, and I would continue to really focus on that, and be aware of what allows you to stay in trust, and then what happens when it's wavering a little bit. Carrie, did you want to say something?
Just adding on to the trust, because I think the trust is, I think I build more trust from so much not trusting, getting sick of not trusting. There has to be the boomerang,
right?
Somewhat, right? But there's areas of my life where I completely trust, in the areas where there's the comparison game that you brought up, the word, the comparison, right? And then when you're comparing, obviously there's like a lack of trust in my own, is what I'm doing right? Is it as good as this? Is it effective? All that, right? But I think it comes down to vibration. If I spend, like you're saying, and meditating, if I do my thing to get myself in the right vibe, then I think that trust is naturally there. If I'm in my authentic vibe, right? Those life things, there's in the background, there's this trust, right? But if I'm not taking care of that, it can happen now, it happened years ago, or even now. If I'm not taking care of my alignment, then I can easily not trust something, even something that I've been doing 30 years.
Totally.
Yeah.
I said totally. Yeah.
So I think trust is a alignment thing, and that's a feeling. You can't even really describe it. That's just like like you said, connection. You know your values right away. I know my values, like freedom, connection, and health. Like freedom's at the top of the list. So that I can say and do cartwheels at the same time. So, but there's other areas, of course, that to develop more trust in things that I haven't maybe done as often, or,
Yeah.
So, no, there's so much to reflect on what you're saying, but the comparing thing about distract, that would be the number one distracting, because even on social media and other stuff, that is that's the comparison.
Yep, totally.
Out there,
And
right?
this framework that I provided is just another framework for reflection. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I believe, like I said, my ability to lead is in direct relation to my ability to understand who I am. And so I'm constantly trying to be introspective and to understand why I say this the way I say it, or why I behave this certain way, or why this feels good and why this doesn't feel good. As a leader, I need to be super aware of my motivations, my behaviors, my actions, my values, so that this is the key part as a leader, so that we can give space for others to also develop that. Because I'm here to guide others. I'm here to lead others. I'm here to hold space for others. I'm here to recognize others. This is what leadership is. It's just paving the path. It's kind of being like, come on, I'm just one step ahead. I've got you. I've got you. But if we don't know that we've got ourselves, if we don't understand ourselves, then how are we paving the path? It's this journey that we have to go on as leaders. So, I just wanted to invite everyone to pull a tarot card. And if you don't feel comfortable and this goes against any type of religious belief you have, feel free to simply sit and journal. I want to make everyone feel as welcome as possible. If this does feel accessible for you, I just simply like your instinct and your intuition to choose a card. Before you do so, just reflect on, this area that we just spoke about, the one that might feel like whether carry it's the comparison and the distraction. What aspect of today that you want a little bit of clarity on, or just a little bit more understanding or awareness, and then choose one card. Just pick one. Beautiful. Okay, and so these are the cards. So feel free to just look at the artwork first and foremost. Can you see this? Okay, this deck actually is the Wild Unknown. It's quite a well-known deck. It's freaking it's real as shit. I only pull this card when I want the honest truth, because she's ruthless and savage sometimes. So just have a look at the artwork first of all, and see if there's anything that kind of comes up that might feel like maybe the coloring of the card or the artwork itself, or And now I'm going to invite you to just feel free to read what your card suggests. Can you see this? No? Oh, you can't? It's hard? It's too hard. Okay, let me just do this. What about this? I could send it individually as well if you need it, but let me know if you can see this. I want to make sure the other person can see this. Thank you. I can definitely send them afterwards as well. You never know, sharing screen. It looks clear as day on my computer, but you never know. Feel free to just even just write down any words that kind of jump out at you that you could potentially journal on afterwards. Whether it's just the top ones, whether it's just connection, love and romance, or direction and determination. Words are power. Vocabulary is power. So giving words to how we feel, or vocabulary to, what's happening inside, I think is such a superpower. Anyone can absolutely get in touch with me afterwards if you need me to send a photo of this. Please, please, please ask me if this is just a little bit too small for you. I'm absolutely willing. You can message me on Facebook. I'm in the Facebook group. Okay, so we're coming to the end. I think we kind of did just discuss what you learned. Feel free to just jot down anything that, you know, you'd like to reflect on after this session, anything that's like sparking any type of introspection or curiosity. And I would love to invite everyone to, I know that you have so many intentions through this retreat. So maybe even just seeing how you can apply this framework to the work that you're doing in your week. Feel free to set a bit of an intention. Whether leadership is something that's in the forefront of your mind and you consider yourself a leader, everybody is a leader if we are willing to recognize the potential in somebody else. So maybe all it is just like getting clear on and adopting this identity of being a leader. Maybe that's all it is. Or maybe it is that you're like, gosh, I really am getting, you know, I'm letting comparison dictate my motivations. Or whether it's like, actually, I don't know how I trust myself. I would love to think more about that. Feel free to set that weekly intention. And we can do a little bit of a checkout. I'll lead us through that in a second. All the slides. I've definitely spoke about the way we do one thing is the way we do all things, thinking about the type of leader that you want to be. And that's just my details down here as well. So I would love to just do a bit of a checkout. Feel free to let me know how you're feeling. Let me know about what you've taken away. Let me know if there's any curiosity around any of these topics. And then we're done. These sessions go so quickly. So feel free to pop it into the chat. Feel free to share anything that you're taking away, how you feel now. Go for it.
I just really enjoyed that. I have 2 pages of notes here. And when I journaled after that body meditation.
Really?
Not like what came up, but I need to know this. Yes. Yeah. And what came up was exactly what I need. But I tend to know exactly what I need and then say no.
Yeah. That ego likes to keep our thermostat nice and tempered, right? Nice and tempered. Don't even go a little bit over. You just watch yourself. Just watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm learning to go past that. So anyways, I've got very instruction from my higher self.
Beautiful. I really appreciate that. Thank you for being so open and willing to just go with it today. I really appreciate it.
Ali, I love your perspective, and it's also your energy. So you draw me in with your energy from the beginning, and so automatically with the words, I'm in there. And you mentioned words. We talked about that the other day, and so my card, I was just like attached to the words. Like that's my word of the week. That's it.
No way.
Words light me up, just like colors.
Yes.
Certain colors, there has an energy as well. So you've just made me more curious to dive into things. Not that anything was wrong or I need to do this. You make it like, okay, let's just chill and look at it. Like, like free.
Right. Exactly. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you for this space and inviting me on here. As a human design projector, I'm all about the invitations. If anyone knows anything about human design, I love invitations. So thank you for inviting me.
And I love inviting. So we're a perfect match.
It works for you. I love it. Dominique, would you like to say anything? You're a reflector.
Oh, in human design, I'm the reflector.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's
been interesting.
Very. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. This was great. Thanks for having this.
My absolute pleasure. Awesome. Well, thank you to anybody that joined. Once again, if there's any curiosity or there's any any energy that feels like it's a bit unfinished, because this is a lot. It's a brain dump. I word vomited over everybody. So feel free to just take some time to reflect and know that I'm absolutely open and available to have any conversations about any of this afterwards. I hope that if there was one thing I'd love for everybody to take away, if there was any doubt in anybody's mind regarding leadership capacity, I hope that I encouraged everyone to step into that leadership, knowing that you don't need to be anything besides yourself to be able to lead, because who we are is how we lead. So I really appreciate everybody for joining. Thank you so much. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram. And Carrie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Ali, if you want to go in the community under the live and just write your info in Instagram and stuff like that, you can do that too.
Do I do that here?
No, you can do it in the Facebook group.
Oh, I'll do it in the Facebook group. Great.
And Dominique, you can do that too under yours.
Great. I will definitely do that. Perfect.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your passion and your time, and everybody else here that, took part and played full out. I love it.
Love it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Harry. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.